Hi, greetings of the day. My name is Ketan. I'm a hotelier and a learning and development professional. Now, this video, to be very honest, what we would be discussing today has been long overdue because this was immediately supposed to come out after my video on Maldives, on my experience in Maldives. And as you all know, my videos are very experiential. I'm sharing out of my experience. And I think now, since somewhere at least the industry is the economies are bouncing up, I'm sure cruising industry will also bounce back very soon, and I'm sure there would be a lot of people, a lot of young hoteliers, young aspiring hoteliers who are aspiring to make a career in the various arenas of hospitality. They are definitely going to look up to cruising industry as an option. So I have a couple of questions jotted about my experience in the cruising industry, which I'll be sharing with all of you. And I'm sure these questions would definitely help you in deciding whether you are meant for cruising industry or not. So without wasting much time, let's begin. A different thing which I'm doing from this video is I have my tablet with me on which I have jotted down some questions so that I do not forget any question, and it is quite criminal when it comes to a presentation, and being a learning and development professional, it is very imperative to have an eye contact, which I would be breaking, but that is only for the benefit that I have. What are all questions I have jotted down? I do not want to miss on to any single question. So let's go on and let's have the first question. So the first question is, what jobs are available for working on a cruise ship? Now, a cruise ship basically operates with three departments. You have the deck, which is basically the navigation, you have the engine, and then you have the hotel. Now, I'm not going to talk about deck and engine department because there are two technical departments, and per se I am not qualified to comment on deck and engine because I am not qualified in those departments. What I would be commenting on, and since I shared just now at the opening of this particular video, is about hoteliers, and I am a hotelier, so yes, we would be talking about hotels. Now, a hotel department is very similar on a cruise ship as well as it is on land. There are a few differences, namely certain position titles, as we call, or as designations, as we call in India per se. So a general manager of a hotel, who is the head of a hotel or a unit on land, could be called as a hotel manager on a cruise ship, so on and so forth. But otherwise, you have the same departments, the job role, the function is the same. You have housekeeping, you have the front desk, which is called as front desk, usually is addressed as guest services. You have housekeeping, no difference over there. The only striking difference that I could see is the food and beverage operations on land is much more integrated. But on a cruise ship, you have a restaurant, which is a separate department, which is concerned with serving and obviously also selling of the food as a commodity. And then you have a separate department called beverage, which is more responsible and focused on serving and selling of alcoholic beverages. Plus, you have other departments, like you have casino, which comes under hotel. Spa definitely comes under hotel, but I'll be talking a bit more about these various departments in just a minute. You have entertainment, and you have gift shop. So you have these various departments coming together, but most of the times entertainment comes directly under the cruising company. So those employees are direct employees of the cruising company that they have been employed for. Spa is usually concessionaire. A concessionaire is basically spa owning company is a different company. They have a tie-up with XYZ cruising company, and then they depute their trained professionals and the manager, that is the spa manager. They run the spa, they earn the revenue for this company, and that's how it goes. And the same thing is with the gift shop. Now, most of the times, the gift shop, what you see if you have traveled on an airport, especially on an international flight, you have a shopping arena. Now, the shopping arena is definitely not directly operated by that particular airport. So, you have various agencies, you have world renowned agencies who do a tie up with these various airports. They depute their trained professionals, they share and they run the duty free. So, basically, on a cruise ship, also, it's absolutely the same. It's a duty free shop, and yes, these duty free products are sold by trained professionals, and yeah, that is the understanding. So these are the way, that's the way various departments, the core department basically, which operate onto a cruise ship. All right, let's move on to the next question. What are the living conditions like on a cruise ship? Now, let me be very honest. I have been working on a cruise ship for 3 years plus, and I have started my journey as a shippie from the year 2015. Now, I have come across many shippies, and I have interacted with them, and I have learned from their experience also that compared to now, the earlier ships were very different. There were people who have made a career, who have spent a lifetime as a career on ships, and when they started, let's say 20 years back, the ships were pretty much different. Now, what was the difference? It depends your living conditions, it depends on your position. For me, I was an officer, so I had a single accommodation, but I'm not going to dwell more on that because obviously it was an en-suite accommodation. Let's look from the crew members perspective. Now, when we are talking about crew members perspective, unlike earlier, like 10 to 20 years back, where the living conditions were not what we see today. So let me give you a distinction. The bathrooms basically were communal. So when we are talking about the living area, it was only about living. So you had your storage space, you have a little bit of wardrobe, and then you have your bunk beds where you go and you crash. And then if you have to use a bathroom, you need to take a shower, you need to go to the communal showers. As you go to a local gymnasium or to a local spa where you have communal facilities, something similar to that. But the changes now are the ships are more modern, the ships are more considering today's living conditions. So each and every crew members accommodation is a suite. Now, I have worked in two different types of ships. I have worked in what they call as a mega ship, and I have also worked in those ships which were launched somewhere in around mid 2000s. So the in-between period between the last decade or the decade before that and the current times. Now the only difference is when I have my first ship was somewhat which was launched in 2000 ship. It was a mid-sized ship, and the crew members were like 2 to 3 or at times even 4 crew members in one accommodation. Not that they were crammed, they were having a sizable living quarter, but yes, again they were like 3 to 4 people in one single room, but all the rooms were en suite. Compared to when I moved out of cruising, I was deputed on a mega ship, and in that, in one room there were not more than 2 roommates. Very rare occasions there were 3 roommates, but otherwise there were only 2 and suites. So you can understand the living conditions were very, 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 very private, so to say. You have to share it only with one person. You have to share your a very crucial thing, you have to share your bathroom, which again you might feel why I'm repeating all this bathroom and all, not just for hygiene purposes, but even come on, if you got to do your job, you got to do your job. So you don't have a fight with many people, and especially when if you're in a restaurant or if you're in housekeeping and you have to go to work you have its morning shift at starting at around 7 o'clock, and all of your roomies, your room partners are in restaurant, and then you all have to report at 7 o'clock. All right, so that is where the fight comes in. I'm just giving you an example. So the living conditions now are much, much, much more comfortable. All right. And I think I have answered that question. So let's move on to the next question. Um, how long cruise ship contracts range from? Totally depends on the position that you're filling in. Uh, the contracts can be as short as, I think, 3 months or 2 months. Again, I'm not 2 months. We even have some of the positions, like really topmost positions on deck or engine. Their contracts could range from 2 months. They usually don't go beyond 4 months for even mid management. Lower tier, yes, you have a larger contract. But our focus again here is hotels. So similarly on hotels, the higher your position in the hierarchy, that means the more more responsibilities you have, that means the more time you are required to spend on the shop floor, interact with the guests, and that means more responsibility means you have more stress. So obviously some of the contracts at the topmost level in a hotel department, they vary from the minimum is from 4 months, and then as you climb down the level of hierarchy, then the contract keeps on, the contract length per se basically keeps on extending. So to answer this particular question, on the safe side, top management, it would be around 4 months, middle management, it is around 6 months, and as you move further down, your contract range expands from 6 months to 8 months. Now, as per the government regulations, ideally the contract range will not expand from more than 8 months. But again, please do not quote me on this. I'm not from the personnel department. So yes, I would safely say from a crew member's perspective, the contract would ideally range, the maximum would be 6 to 8 months. All right, 6 to 8 months. All right. Moving on, a very crucial question to make your decision if crew ship life is for you. Do cruise ship employees get days off? Now, to answer this question, let me tell you, no, there and yes. Now, why do I say no? If you are working in departments like restaurant or guest services or housekeeping or beverage, which are directly employed and are related to the company and are in direct interface with the guest day in and day out, you do not get a weekly off. So when we say that your contract ranges from 6 months to 8 months, yes, you have to work every single day of those 6 to 8 months. But having said that, and when I say yes, also, now why did I say yes? Because there are certain departments which are not required to operate, because A, there are no guests, and B, because of law. So legally, which departments do not operate? Departments like casino, departments like gift shop. Now these two departments can only operate after the ship has set sail and it has gone sailed away from the land. I'm not too sure about that particular distance, but it has to be away from the land and sail away. Only then these departments can start operating. That means the casino, when they reach international waters, basically, that is when your gift shop, which is basically your duty free gift shop, can start, and so is your casino. So obviously, if these departments cannot operate when the ship is docked in the port, then yes, of course, you get a day off. So you get to do whatever you want to do, unless and until your manager calls for you to do something, which is rare. it could be stock taking or anything. SPA is one department which operates even when the ship has called at a port. That means the ship has docked at a port, but again not full strength, because obviously when the ship has docked at the port or has called at a port, the guests who are sailing on the cruise ship will definitely leave the ship and go to see the port or wander around. So SPA will have only a skeletal staff. So this answers my question, do you get weekly off? Yes, these departments will get a weekly off, but other departments, the core operational departments, no. But does it mean that these departments will never get to see or get to have a slice of life? Now, let's so that I think will be answered in one of the forthcoming questions, because yes, people can get to go off the ship because the entire ship runs on a basic skeletal staff. All right, so the next question is, how many hours a day do you need to work on a cruise ship? Now, when we say how many hours do you need to work on a cruise ship, I think the cruising industry has been demonized by saying, okay, people work for 6 months, 8 months at a stretch. We all work that much on land also, maybe not 6 to 8 months on a stretch, but yes, we everybody is required to work for around 9 to 10 hours, and we don't work only 9 to 10 hours, we do work a little bit extra also. So I do not see a reason why only shipping industry or cruising industry per se is singled out and being demonized for that. There are times when the operation demands that you are required to work, and yes, you do work, but there are times when you get off time as well. So as per the regulations, you are required to work for 10 hours. But if you're the line staff, I'm not talking about the managers or the officers, but if you're line staff, you are liable to get an overtime. So you will get paid overtime by the hour. So again, even if you're working extra or if you're required to work extra, you get paid. All right. So that answers a lot of question. All right. The next question. I have never been at sea for very long. What happens if I get seasick? Nothing. You get used to it. I mean, when I joined my first vessel, I had never ever set foot on a ship. I mean, yes, for vacations you travel over a water body on a small speedboat and all. That's what I have done. I had experience in Maldives prior to my shippy experience, so I had the opportunity to travel by a speedboat, but that was what the maximum was, like 30 minutes or 45 minutes. Here we are talking about a day or plus in sailing in the water, but you just learn to cope up with it. You have a lot of experienced shippies who will give you some expert advice. One or two words of wisdom that I would share is, one is green apple, second is ginger ale. Now these things are well, everybody tends to keep on handy. You always have a green apple in the staff cafeteria, so if you feel a bit seasick, if you feel queasy, you can just have a green apple. You can just open a can of ginger ale and you just feel better. The thing is, you are not required to keep your stomach empty. That is when you start feeling uncomfortable, and do not do the exact opposite. Do not just stuff yourself with food, but you have to be comfortably full so that you don't start feeling nauseous. So that's all about not to be seasick. All right, let's move on. The next question is, how much time do you spend off the ship? Well, that totally depends is what department you are in, what shift you are doing. But generically speaking about operations, if you are not a part of the skeletal staff that is required for operations, or if you are not a part, again from the safety perspective also, there is a skeletal safety team who are and everybody is trained in safety and security. So there is a safety team which is required to stay on board the ship God forbid, should anything, any emergency arise, there have to be people who have to, address to the emergency and get set into motion. So it's not about how many days in a month or so, as in when you get an opportunity you get to go off the ship. There are times when the ship has is required to call at a port overnight, so you have overnight stays. So there you have minimum skeletal staff, and yeah, a lot of people do step out of the ship, and you can do whatever you want to do. You can go, you go for shopping, you go watch a movie. If there is a beach, a beautiful beach nearby, go on the beach, do whatever you want. But yes, the fact that shippies, who are people who are working on a cruise ship, rarely get to step off the ship is an absolute myth. Okay, I will be uploading some videos or some photographs of my excursions which I have done when I had stepped out of the ship. Probably you will be watching a couple of them now. You would have watched a few earlier also. So they are proof enough. People do get to go out, and it's not like when you step onto a ship, you are trapped over there for the length of your contract. It's absolutely not like that, unless and until it's your decision that you don't want to step off the ship. Now that's a totally different perspective. Okay, a learning and development professional, and a question related to that: what kind of training regarding safety and emergency protocol I will receive? Now you would be given the basic training into first how to save your life and how to deal with an emergency, and how, because anybody who is working on a cruise ship, your secondary role doesn't matter whichever department, whatever core role you are being hired for and you are doing, your secondary role, which is also a permanent role, is you need to be a part of the emergency team. So every single person is a part of an emergency team. So an emergency team is all, it could be crowd control, it could be assisting the passengers during the time of an emergency. So you have been provided with first aid, you have been provided with basic safety, security, fire prevention, all these kinds of trainings. Now if you are someone like me who's coming from India, there is a CDC book which is just like a passport, which is like a passport for a shippy, which has been is governed by the government of India. So in order to leave the country as a shippy, you need to have that particular CDC. But in order to have the Indian CDC, all the trainings which I just mentioned to you, you have to undergo all these trainings in India. So it's not just the cruise ship, even your country is just like India. It's more focused, keen, and responsible towards your life, so that you are well trained. But apart from that, when you actually go onto a cruise ship, you have a lot of refresher training also, because one ship is always different from another ship, little by little. So you are definitely trained on the specifics of the ship, specific training and generic training also. Okay, the next question, very interesting question. Which all countries, or which all national from which all countries work onto a cruise ship? Now there are no restrictions as such for any country to work onto a cruise ship, but rather than answering your questions, let me answer what I have seen. And out of my experience, I have seen the number one nationality which constitutes the major chunk of a cruise ship workforce is from the Philippines. The second, it's a little bit up and down. It's either India or Indonesia. So the second spot is always going and up and down. So sometimes you have Indians who are high in number, or sometimes you have Indonesian, and then the third usually is nationals from Nepal who constitute the security team. And then you have people from different countries. And then when I say different countries, I think it's a great opportunity, as I had shared in my video pertaining to Maldives, is you get a lot of opportunity to make friends from different places, from different parts of the world, people representing different religions, very essentially different cultures. So there is a lot of cultural exchange which keeps on happening. All right, so let's move on to the next question. Crew food. Uh, yes, at times crew is allowed to go to the guest restaurant when the guest operations are on, but that depends. You have to reserve a table with the restaurant team, and of course, you have to be properly attired, and then you can go and enjoy your meal. But I think apart from that, you cannot go every day. What about the day-to-day meals that you have? So when we are talking about crew food, the food served in a crew mess. So like I said, we have multiple nationalities working onto a cruise ship. Let me just help you understand in the most simplest way. One side you have continental section, so you have in continental you have recipes which cater to those who are looking for a continental palate, and then of course most of the cruise ship, it's more US dominated business. So you have fast food items, like you have burgers, you have french fries, so on and so forth. And then the second section is Asian. So like I said, what are the different types of nationalities which constitute your cruise ship? So based on that, you ideally have in the Asian section, you have the Asian section is divided into Filipino. So you have certain recipes which cater to the Philippine palate. You have around 2 to 3 recipes every day per meal, except for breakfast, because breakfast is more generic. It's more an continental breakfast. Sorry, an American breakfast. But lunch and dinner, yes, you have in the Asian section. You have Indian recipes also. You may have 1 or 2 recipes which are catering to the Indonesian palate. So it's a gamut, and then again, if you have a certain celebration like let's say if you have a Philippine Independence Day, or if you have Diwali, which is Christmas in India, basically. I'm sure anybody who's watching the video in any part of the world would know what Diwali is for an Hindu. So the meals are definitely altered to reflect a particular culture's taste. So it's not that you will not have anything to eat, and trust me, I have I mean, I'll be very honest, my mouth is watering. I do miss the beef tapas, which is a Filipino delicacy. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, soyo, a tam or something, which is an Indonesian delicacy, which I really used to gorge upon. So yeah, there is apart from your own delicacy, you do have a culinary extravaganza, so to say. All right. So let's move on. Otherwise, I'm I would be required to wear a bib now. Okay, a more practical question. How can I remain in contact with my world at home? So how do you remain in contact with your friends in this pandemic, or into even before pandemic? How were you staying in contact with your friends and families? It's a very simple thing. I mean, just a comparison. When my brother had migrated to the United States, that was in the year 1999. I think it was more like a one-way communication when he used to call, and the day of the week and the time was fixed. It was Sunday by around 9 p.m. India time. So whatever was the time, he used to get up and then he used to give a call. But I think the world has progressed, the technology has progressed, and everything is at on your palm, on the touch of your fingers. So WhatsApp, Zoom, you name it. So it's not very difficult as of now. I could just pick up the phone and call my parents, and it was pretty much easy. But apart from that, if you don't want to use internet, each crew cabin is equipped with a landline, and there are landlines in strategic areas of the ship. You just need to buy a phone card. I'm not going to go pretty much in detail on that particular thing, because that would constitute a video in itself. So yes, all you need to do is dial in, key in some codes, and you can call your friends and family back home. So to answer this question, technology has made it very simple for anyone to stay in touch with your loved ones back home. Alright, a very crucial thing, moolah. What about the money that you earn? How do you send it back home? So you have various options. You can do it through MoneyGram. So when the ship is docking at a port, you have something called as MoneyGram services. They have their offices in the port, and you can send your money. It's basically a wire, so you can wire your money back home. But I think things, like I said, technology has really enhance, at least if you ask me what I used to do. How do you get your salary paid on a cruise ship? There is something called as a Ocean Pay card, which is like a credit card which carries all your money, which is your virtual money. So there is a ATM on board the ship. You can use that card on the ship ATM. You can use it anywhere across the world, because and then you can get your money in local currency. What I used to do is, all my money used to come in that particular card, and I had connected my bank account here in India to that card. So I just used to transfer money to my bank account, and poof, the money used to get transferred. Okay, so it's as simple as that. All you need is a strong internet connection, which you do get. All right. The last thing is connected to the question, do I get to step out of the ship? Yes, I have answered that. You do get to step out of the ship, but again, you need to remember, or rather for any of a shippy who is working on a cruise ship or aspiring to work on a cruise ship, it is work by the end of the day. All right, you get to travel the world, but you get to travel the world and you get to travel the world free, but it is not a vacation. So it is work, but work does not mean that you are bound to your work, because you also have a life, and you do get to lead a very happy, fulfilling life with friends. Maybe not family, connected with family every now and then, but yes, you are much better connected than what people 10 or 20 years back were limited with the contact of family. And I think that is, if you do remember that you can enjoy every bit of your life as a shippy, but again, it's not a vacation. I think you can definitely have a very successful career on the high seas. Well, that's all from me. If you have any more questions or comments, please type it down in the comments below, and I'll be more than happy to be connected with you and to answer any of your queries. And just in case if I have missed any question, please do reach out to me. So this is your friend, your host Ketan, signing off for now, until I see you in my next video. So till then, take care. Bye-bye. Okay, this had to come now. Till then, take care. Bye-bye and stay safe. Bye.